Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Lush Foliage. In today's video, I was planning to do a division of my peace lily. This is my peace lily. As you can see, a very good amount of growth. The monsoons are treating my peace lily really well. So here is what I wanted to do. As you can see, there are two shoots in this. These are the new ones that have just recently come up. So I was planning to do a propagation of my peace lily, and on the right hand side, as you can see, this is the mother plant, the original one, and this is the new one. So I want to take out the new one and give it an individual pot. Overall, the plant is doing extremely well, so I thought I will do a separation. Now for that, I'll have to take out the entire plant from the pot. I can even go with the same method what I did for my Aglaonema, but over here I wanted to show you the root system as well. So I thought I will take out the entire plant from the pot and show it to you. Again, the soil is a little wet, so it is going to be a little messy, so you'll get a fair idea. Because in my last video you seen in the Aglaonema the soil was completely dry, but over here the soil is wet. So this is the new soil that I have made for the new plant that I'll be putting in. It's a mix of coco peat, garden soil, sand and perlite, as you can see. So let us first take out the plant. It's going to take a little bit of effort because I have to loosen the soil. The soil has got a little bit compact, and this is what I love about these thermoform pots. They are very flexible. Unlike those hard plastic, it becomes very difficult to take out the plant. Here you can see they are slow, flexible, and it's very easy to kind of uproot the plant from the pot. I think the plant is still kind of stuck, so I'll have to press it a little bit more. But you can see I love these pots. I have been purchasing a lot of these pots. They tend to work out really well. So here we go. It looks like we have loosened the soil, and you can see this is the entire root system. A very good amount of roots. Now this was a 7-inch pot that I had put them in. So now let's loosen up the soil because there's a lot of soil on the root area. Now you can also see my soil mix is very loose. You can see with a gentle shake, all of the soil around the root area is falling off. This is exactly how our soil should be. It should not be very compact around the root area. If the soil is little compact on the upper layer of soil, it's absolutely okay. But especially around the root area, the soil should be very loose and should easily move around. As you can see, with a very gentle shake, all of the soil has dispersed. Now I'll go ahead and separate the shoot from the mother plant. This is how I tend to divide the peace lily with the roots, ensure that there is a good set of roots on the other plant as well. So here we go. We have separated. As you can see, the amount of roots that are present on this small little plant. This was the new shoot that was growing besides the mother plant. You can see it's doing extremely well. A good set of roots. Now ideally what I tend to do is whenever there are very long roots, a lot of people tend to cut the roots, but I do not cut the roots. What I do is I just make it into a ball and put it back into the soil. I do not like to cut unless it is really long, then I do a cutting. But if it's not very long, I just make it into a ball and put it back into the soil. Now this is the mother plant. Now you can see this is the mother plant because the mother plant had flowers earlier. I've cut off the flowers. These were all the flower stalks. I've cut them off. That's how I was able to identify that it's a mother plant. So I'll go ahead and put the mother plant back into the same pot, and we will be using the same soil that we just took out from the pot. As you can see, this is a little bit of hassle as compared to the Aglaonema separation what I had done. We didn't have to take out all of the soil, but in this method we had to take out all of the soil. So now let's start filling in the soil mix. I have a pot. This is a 5-inch pot. I have put a green shade cloth beneath so that when we water, the soil does not flow out. So we'll start filling it. As I said, this is a mix of coco peat, garden soil, sand and perlite. If you don't have perlite, it's absolutely okay. You can skip it, but ensure that you have the rest of the 3 ingredients. You can see how fluffy my soil is. This is how they need to have for very loose porous soil. Now I had made a ball out of that root. I'm going to place it into the pot and start filling up with the soil mix. So guys, as you can see, it is pretty simple. Everything depends upon the soil mix. What I have seen is a lot of people tend to use a heavy soil, or basically a very compact soil. If you're only going to use garden soil, usually it contains a lot of clay, and that can become very compact over the period of time, and it tends to kind of suffocate the roots and tends to stun the growth of the plant. So always have a very loose, well draining soil mix. That tends to work out really well. The risk of your plant getting overwatered is also very less because all of the excess water starts to flow out from the drain hole, and the soil mix is very loose, porous, and it also tends to dry out faster. Again guys, our peace lilies, they need even moisture or slight moisture in the soil, but not soggy wet soil. That's the reason why we tend to use coco peat, because they cannot be kept underwater for a very long time. The moment they feel thirsty, the leaves start to get droopy. That indicates that they need water, so we cannot keep them underwater for a very long time. They are not drought tolerant plants. They can easily get damaged with underwatering. So let me fill up all of the soil mix. We also need to push the soil a little bit below so that the air pockets are released. So as you can see, it is pretty simple to do your multiplying or propagation of or dividing the peace lily from the mother plant. Now we are already done. I'm going to keep it aside. A little bit of burns, guys, because this plant had come in contact with direct sunlight, due to which it got burnt. In fact, it was kind of getting afternoon direct sunlight. Right now it's doing quite well, because you can see it's the monsoon season. It's all moist everywhere. It has been raining a lot, and you can see my plants are loving it because of the increased amount of humidity. So all my plants are doing quite well. This is the right time to sow seeds, to do propagation, stem cutting. It tends to work out really well. Of course, there is a high chance of rot as well. But this is the right time because the environment is very humid. A lot of plants tend to put out roots at a much faster rate because of the amount of humidity. So usually this is the time when I tend to do a lot of division, multiplying of my plants, stem cuttings, propagations. This is the right time. Even for that matter, planting of the seeds also tend to work out really well. So I will quickly fill up all of that soil mix that I had taken out from the mother plant. I'll fill that up completely. And in this pot, actually, I forgot to add perlite, but it was just coco peat, garden soil and sand. So you can see without perlite as well, the plant will do quite well. But you can see overall my soil mix is very loose. It's very I wouldn't say it's very compact. It's very loose. It's very porous, very grainy. So this is the type of soil mix that tends to work out really well. In fact, for all of the plants, not only for foliage plants, but even for flowering plants as well, they do not like to be sitting in a very compact soil mix. So if you don't have perlite, it's absolutely okay. You can just use coco peat, garden soil and sand. Now guys, I'm not going to be using any kind of fertilizers right now because we have just done the potting. We will let the plant rest in this. Now here you can see left hand side, that's the mother plant. Right hand side we have the new shoot that we have just planted. No fertilizers as of now. Now some people do put these plants out in direct sunlight, but what I have seen, like in my neighborhood, I've seen a lot of people keeping this plant outdoor and it is completely burnt. A lot of yellow leaves, a lot of brown spots. This usually happens when the plant comes in contact with a lot of direct sunlight. Indirect bright light tends to work out really well. Now I won't be watering it right away, especially the mother plant. You can see the soil is kind of moist, but in the new pot the soil is dry, so I'm just going to keep it outside. I'm not going to keep it in the rain. I'm just going to keep it at the edge so that the water splatter can get into the pot and it can moisten the soil. At the same time, you can see that I have my rose plant as well over here. My rose plant is also putting out a good amount of blooms thanks to the monsoon season. So I have kept it over here so that it gets a good amount of rainwater. There are 3 blooms already and there is a 4th bud coming up. So I'm leaving it over here probably for a couple of hours. You can see the water will splash into the pot and it will moisten the soil. So that is going to work out really well. And it's going to be kept back again in indirect bright light. I do not expose them to direct sunlight. So overall, it's doing quite well. You can see the mother plant is doing well. Now guys, a lot of people say that this plant will do well in less light. Of course, the plant will do well in less light, but there is going to be a small disadvantage. Whenever a peace lily tends to grow in less light, the blooms will be very rare as compared to keeping them in indirect bright light. Right now my peace lily is not blooming because there is hardly any sun these days because it has been raining a lot. It's very cloudy, so the rate of flowers are very less. I already had 3 flowers since I got it, but ever since then the monsoons have started. There is hardly any sun, very diminished light, so there is not much of blooms. And any which ways, this plant is kept under the green shade cloth. You can see it's a little heavy right now because of the rain. That's why it's bending downwards. So this is what's happening. So that's about it. If you want your peace lily to bloom profusely, then offer a good amount of indirect bright light. And once you notice that there are blooms, you can give any kind of fertilizer, organic fertilizer that you have been giving, and give it. That's the most important thing. Sunlight is the most important thing. If you're going to give less light, the rate of blooms will also be very less. So guys, that's all about it. I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button. And if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe, and keep propagating.